All right, hello, hello. Just getting the stream going here, and then we'll get right into the weather. And it looks like everything is set up. I just got to test the audio real quick. Stream going here, and then we'll get right into the weather. All right, looks like audio is working. And our stream is up, so we are live and ready to go here. Oh, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us here at WeatherCast America. Ongoing severe weather outbreak here in the Midwest, and sorry, a little scattered here in a temporary studio space here, not the main studio I've been in. But we're going to get right into it here with an ongoing severe weather outbreak. Monitoring things last night, decided not to go live just because things did remain isolated. And the SPC, I think, pretty much nailed that forecast. A lot of ingredients were there, and then there were a few things that weren't there. And yeah, kudos to the forecasters over at SPC. I think they did a great job last night. Overall, the threat remained isolated over west and central Kansas and Nebraska. That system has now moved further north and east and has fired off a number of storms here this morning. Actually, a few tornadoes were confirmed and reported here, and you can actually see those on the map right now. A couple northwest of Des Moines, a couple over in northeast Nebraska, and then one just north of the Kansas City metro. Those storms right now are pushing off into areas in central Iowa, as well as back building down into east central Missouri, and now we're starting to see development even down into southern Missouri. Tornado threat is going to be lower down here, but possible damaging winds and hail are a bit of a threat down here in the mid-Mississippi Valley. Those will eventually later this afternoon be pushing towards St. Louis, Cape Girardeau. We'll monitor them as well. A couple storms down that way could get pretty feisty. But the bigger concern is up here in northern Missouri. Now all of Iowa really has a tornado watch, and then into the areas here in western Illinois. These are where the ingredients are most dynamic right now, and especially this area here where Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri meet. That, I think, is going to be a big firing point for tornadic development later this afternoon. You can see, unlike other situations here, they're not trimming the watch box after this first round of storms goes by. And that's because after this round of storms goes by, you can already see some storms building back into the Kansas City area. Just a new severe thunderstorm warning back down there. This next arc of storms is forecasted to get into a more favorable area. So we're somewhat going to have a couple arcs of storms. This one is going to keep moving north and east. Primarily now we're getting into the time that the tornado threat is getting a little bit lower in that first area of convection. Still could see some tornadic development, but primarily I think we're going to see some damaging winds and hail. This next round of storms is what we're really watching for tornadic development, and models have been picking up on this for a couple days now. As these move north and east into a pretty favorable environment, there's some clearing behind the first areas of convection, and that should quickly destabilize the atmosphere. So that's why you can see these tornado watch areas are not just getting trimmed down like we've seen in a few other severe weather days. We do have one ongoing tornado warning right now. This was a confirmed tornado a little bit ago. It's been downgraded to radar indicated. Still 1-inch hail though, and that goes until 1:45 in northwestern Colfax County and southeastern Stanton County. This is in northeastern Nebraska. So radar indicated tornado warning. If you're in areas like Lee and Clarkson over toward Howells, please be in your tornado safe space here. Take your tornado precautions. Speaking of that, if you're out here in western Illinois, northern and eastern Iowa, and even back down here towards Columbia, Moberly, and Kirksville in Missouri, you have a little bit of time before the tornadic threat picks back up. to find your tornado safe space. So if you live or work in a mobile home or temporary structure, have a way to quickly get to a stable structure permanently built. If you can, have a space within that permanent structure that's away from windows, away from the outside walls, and put as many walls in between you and the outside as possible. So that likely means an interior hallway, closet, bathroom, staircase, somewhere like that that's internal inside the house, away from windows, doors, and the outside walls. If you have a basement or storm shelter, that's even better. On the lowest level possible that you can go, underground is even better. So have a plan of action here if you're in this tornado watch area, and then obviously a more immediate plan of action may be necessary if tornadoes spin up in these cells here. We do have a couple severe thunderstorm warnings in southern Iowa with tornado possible. Maybe just the one at the moment. There's the other one. I knew there were a couple. One here southeast of Des Moines, and then another one south of Ottumwa. And the Ottumwa, Iowa area is where our traffic cam is right now, in the bottom corner of your screen. Right now, the storms around Ottumwa aren't that bad. They had some heavier storms earlier. Those have cleared out a little bit. Your storms here kind of getting split a little bit. Some newer severe thunderstorms have kicked off here in the Kansas City area, and we'll pick up those as and get a little better look at those here in a few minutes. But just to see, you can kind of see this clear slot that's developed behind the initial area of convection. So there's your initial area of convection moving that way. It's this clear slot in here that was forecasted to have further storm development, and we may be seeing that now here in the Kansas City area. That whole clear slot and favorable environment is forecasted to also continue moving north and east this afternoon into the evening. So as that area gets over this area here, where Missouri, Illinois, and Iowa come together, that seems to be the area that's most favorable for tornadic development. And we can see that in the Storm Prediction Center and what they've put out this afternoon. So right now, just one tornado warning for Colfax and Stanton in northeast Nebraska. Let's get back to the radar, and we'll take a little closer look here at the storm. Come on, radar. There we go. So it's this area here coming towards the Clarkson area. Howells, be in your safe space up along, looks like Route 91 and Route 15. You can also get a look here with the velocity. And it does look weaker than it did earlier. Again, this storm had originally a confirmed tornado on it. So you can see here, even a couple scans back, maybe a couple areas of rotation. And just to say that they're going to extend a tornado warning, probably for a confirmed tornado. Let's see here. Nope. Just continuing the tornado warning. It looks like they're just extending the tornado warning. Not really in terms of area, but in terms of time a little bit. Looks like your rotation right now is in the Clarkson area. And that's going to be moving north and east towards Howells. A little bit hard to see. Let me see if there's any other radar sites. I think that's the closest one that we're working on right now. There is still rotation in there. See, back a few scans here, maybe two areas of rotation. This one's been a bit stronger on the southern side. And that's now come across the areas here by Clarkson. It does seem to be broadening out, which is a good thing if you don't want a tornado here. But still some rotation right around the Clarkson area. approaching the areas just west of Howells in Nebraska. We'll see if that tightens back up. That storm has had a history, and we can take a look a little further. And see here what we're dealing with in terms of the time frame. Radar indicated tornado, and getting a speed on this for you. Moving northeast at 15 miles an hour, so that's why it's a fairly small warning box and may not have hit any towns here with this next in line. Try this again. Well, nothing's pulling up as far as communities. However, there are people that live out here. So if you're in this area north and east of Clarkson and Howells in Nebraska, especially up Nebraska Route 15 up towards 32, this storm may be impacting you in a little while here. With its slow motion, probably have a little bit of time to take your tornado safe precautions here. And some of this area is outside the warning area. Wouldn't be surprised if this gets extended. Still seeing that rotation here just in the Clarkson area, moving up towards Howells north and east. And if you're in the Howells area, technically outside the warning box, but especially if you're on the west side of Howells, good idea to start to hunker down here. This rotation is close enough where it's a good idea to stay away from doors and windows, be on the lowest level and interior room, especially since this does seem to be hugging more of the right side of this tornado watch or tornado warning box. But area especially between Clarkson and Howells in Nebraska, please be taking your tornado safe precautions here, as well as we'll see if that gets extended. Otherwise, some strong storms headed towards Omaha. No severe warnings down there yet. Wouldn't be surprised if there's some small hail, especially in some of these cells here near Brainerd and Valparaiso, and now between Milford and Seward in Nebraska. Maybe some small hail in those storms. So we'll have to watch those as they make their way north and east, eventually into the Omaha, Nebraska area. And then further east towards Des Moines. Now most of your action here in Des Moines is south and east of town. So watching areas here around Knoxville and Pella. This is a severe thunderstorm, close to 1-inch hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds with a tornado possible. There's a few points of rotation here that we're watching. There was one, I think, further south too, but that last scan, it looks a little weaker. So watching an area of rotation to see if it tightens up. If it did, it would be coming towards the Pella area and up towards Monroe in Iowa. Again, that's a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. Especially when those storms kind of come out and are warned for tornado possible in a favorable area, especially an area here like a tornado watch. If you can, it's a good idea to take your tornado safety precautions and just also hunker down and get into a stable structure, interior room, away from those doors and windows. At the very least, you know there's a pretty hefty severe thunderstorm coming your way. Yeah, so watching that rotation as it lifts up past the Knoxville area. We'll have to watch and see if it tightens up a little bit. If it would be in this area here near Flagler, headed up in generally towards the Pella area, and eventually towards Otley and Monroe, lifting up that way. Also Harvey, you're going to have to watch out here for this storm. Knoxville in the storm right now. But that's your little area rotation lifting up this way towards especially Pella and Otley and areas along 163. So we'll continue to monitor that one. Down further, we're seeing a little bit higher up in this storm, but that's a big hailstorm with 1-inch hail, 60-mile-an-hour winds. This is down in Missouri now, near Kirksville. And a little more specifically south of Unionville and west of Green City. That's a pretty sizable hail core here that we're seeing a good bit away from the radar site, so hopefully that's elevated right now. But if that is reaching the ground, then we're going to start seeing some hail reports out of these areas around Harris, Milan, Green City, and Unionville, as those storms are definitely picking up in intensity. We can go back a few scans. That one came across the areas around Chillicothe, and you can see here it's actually developed a pretty strong hail core in the last few scans. So that one is intensifying. That is one to watch. It's in our tornado watch box, and certainly a powerful thunderstorm there in northeast Missouri. Getting down into the Kansas City area, new storms have developed on the east side of Kansas City. Not seeing a ton of rotation that's concerning right now. Maybe some hail cores starting to develop, especially this area here south of Blue Mound. A little bit of rotation in that, as well as another hail core here on the west side of Higginsville. Starting to see those storms intensify as well. We can get another view of those. By checking out their echo tops and seeing how high these storms are getting. So already up to about 36,000 feet, 37, 38,000 feet as far as that storm there with the hail core. And then this here has one around 35,000 feet. So already some big storms that have redeveloped here in the Kansas City area. And you can see just a few scans back, this storm had around 30,000 feet in echo tops. It's now approaching 40,000 feet. So it is a quickly, rapidly strengthening storm, and we can get that verification with the echo tops, seeing how high those storms are going up into the atmosphere. So what we're seeing there, and let me just put this in a different color for a second. What we're seeing here with the echo tops is, if we have our storm here, is the radar is just simply measuring how high this is in the atmosphere. So we're saying that that is 38,000 feet here. And then as the storm strengthens, it tends to continue pushing up into the atmosphere. So if we see that continuing to go and past 40,000 feet, even up to close to 50,000 feet, then we know that's a strengthening storm. If it's going the other way, so right now if we see that storm at 38,000 feet, and then all of a sudden we see it down here at 25, then we know that the echo tops, its updraft isn't as strong and likely indicating a weakening storm. So that's one of the ways that we can use these echo tops. They're also helpful in finding some larger hail cores. So if we see those high echo tops and around the strong reflectivity, that also indicates some hail cores developing, as it takes a strong updraft to suspend larger hail. And the stronger the updraft, the more likely you have some larger hail being suspended up into the storm. That one storm that we saw earlier near Unionville, for example, has a 40,000 foot echo top, and we're seeing it a little far from the radar site, so we might even have a higher storm. Yeah, this radar is better out of Iowa, so probably even 45,000 feet, probably pushing 50,000 feet for that hailstorm near Unionville, Missouri. That is a strong storm. That's one of the bigger hail signatures I've seen here, monitoring these storms here in the last couple hours this morning. Waiting to go live a little bit until the afternoon severe threat was intensifying. So we'll go back to velocity and check this out. This storm here near Chillicothe and just the points north on US 65, that's a good size hail core developing as well. So watch out for that one as it heads north and east, up again towards the areas around Milan, Browning, Laredo, and Grantsville in Missouri. We had a bit of a break as far as severe weather. The warnings went down a little bit. I was looking to start the stream around 12:30, but actually the warnings decreased a little bit. So we were kind of watching and waiting and seeing what happened there. Let me make sure we are. Let me make sure we have this on. Make sure we're posting this here to socials. Definitely seeing pictures on social media of some a pretty nice looking tornado uh, with a bit of a rain-free view of it. So there definitely was a tornado a little bit ago up in Nebraska, near Humphrey, Nebraska. That's probably this area down in here. And that storm has lifted off to the north and east. And good news is I don't see the, looks like we canceled that tornado warning in that area there. But that was the storm that we were watching near, where was it? Near Clarkson. Now it looks like it's continued on the downtrend as far as its rotation. So no longer warned. But yeah, back in this area, that there definitely had a confirmed tornado there. Some large hail and higher winds was reported in the earlier round of storms, and we should be seeing some hail reports come in. Especially this area around Unionville. I'm getting really concerned for some large hail here south side of Unionville and along and south of 136. That's also moving northeast. Northeast Missouri has a bit of a radar hole. So kind of like the other day I mentioned, if you reach out to your politicians if you're in, unfortunately the area that I think we're expecting the biggest tornadic development today is in a bit of a radar hole. Western Illinois, northeast Missouri, and southeast Iowa. It'd be great if someone put a radar site, say north of Quincy, somewhere around Keokuk, Iowa, or even Kirksville, Missouri. Those would be some great areas to put a radar site. Somewhere over here by Memphis and 136 and Cahokia, Missouri, because yeah, otherwise we're relying on radars from Des Moines, the Quad Cities, St. Louis, and Lincoln, Illinois. So we're looking pretty far up in these storms. And also, for some of these storms in northern Missouri, we're relying on Kansas City and Des Moines radars. Like this one here in Unionville. So at the higher levels, there is some rotation. That's pretty expected with a strong updraft like this storm has, and a hail core. It's just going to be very hard to see if any of the higher level rotation points meet the ground level here. And speaking of tornado possible, we have this severe thunderstorm warning now being extended out for this severe warned storm near Pella right now. Rotation is just along 163 there around the Pella area. Still broad and fairly weak, but watching that one carefully as it continues to move northeast towards Grinnell, Newton, Brooklyn, and Iowa, all in the warning area. Areas in this warning like Grinnell and Brooklyn are already seeing storms right now, so it's going to clear for a few minutes, but then just know that your round of storms is not over yet. Certainly have some heavier thunderstorms headed your way with the severe warning. Alright, tornado warning now is going to continue. Just checking my audio again, making sure we're good. All right, yeah, we're live. Let's go see this tornado warning now. So it's going to be for a tornado warned storm right around Sioux City. This is a little further north. Wasn't expecting that one. But a radar indicated tornado here approaching the Sioux City, Iowa area. Right now it's in Nebraska. And getting radar data out of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So you can see that rotation here near Jackson in the Nebraska side. That's going to be moving across the area's western side of Sioux City towards Jefferson, Whinstone, and eventually, if that holds together, up towards the areas north and west of Sioux City in Iowa. Brookdale, Yeomans, and North Sioux City under this tornado warning. So please take your tornado precautions if you're on the north and west side of Sioux City. This is just a warning that just includes just west of the downtown parts of Sioux City here. So if you're just on the west side of downtown towards North Sioux City, Dakota Dunes, you guys are in the warning over there. And that's for this area of rotation here near Jackson along Route 20. That's moving up north-northeast towards Whinstone, towards North Sioux City, and eventually towards the areas around Jefferson, McCook Lake, Brookdale, and Yeomans. Areas just east of McKay's Court as well. And then if that holds together, it's going to be coming up towards areas near Milnerville and Potosia. This is another area we're looking a little bit farther up into the storm. So it's going to be hard to get ground truth unless someone has eyes on this. And we are in a fairly populated area, so we may get some eyes on this if there is a tornado on the ground. But areas around Sioux City in Iowa and the areas now just west of Sioux City in Nebraska, around Jackson, Willis, Goodwin, up towards North Sioux City, Dakota Dunes, and Whinstone. Please be taking your tornado precautions right now. Activate those tornado plans as we're watching this area rotation just in the Jackson area, moving north and northeast towards Whinstone and Jefferson. Yeah, the border of Nebraska and Iowa is right there at the Missouri River. Let's see here. We have located over Jackson, 8 miles west of Sioux City, moving north at 25. So this one's moving a little bit quicker than the storm that we were tracking earlier in Nebraska. And I'm just going to put it kind of right across here. Mount Lucia, also in 14 minutes or less. North Sioux City in about 10 minutes or less. And same for Dakota Dunes. So about 5 to 10 minutes here. If you're in North Sioux City, please be taking your tornado precautions. Whinstone, McCook Lake, Brookdale, up towards North Lucia and Jefferson and Yeomans. Areas north and west of Sioux City along I-29. Please be taking your tornado safety precautions as well. With that rotation now headed up between Jefferson and Whinstone, it looks like it's going to be crossing the Missouri River here shortly into the areas here near Whinstone. Jackson, still be in your tornado safe space here for a few more minutes, especially because we are seeing the storm from a pretty high elevation with the radar being far away. It's good because the ground truth, if there is rotation on the ground, could be in a slightly different part than the exact street location here. So Although we're seeing the rotation up high, approaching the windstone area and areas around the Missouri River, the actual rotation could be, say, down here at the ground level, just because tornadoes can, within the storm, bend. If this is the storm here, your tornado could come down like this out of the storm. So we are seeing the storm and the rotation level here, but the actual ground tornado tornadic rotation is here, and then there's a difference, you know, however many miles or half a mile that could be. So yep, when we're seeing the storm up in a higher elevation, it's good to take those tornado safety precautions a little more seriously, just because we don't know exactly what's going on at that ground level. Beyond that, some wind reports here out of Wynne County in Nebraska. Some damage to power poles and trees and a garage roof. So another reason to have that tornado safe space and a sturdy structure, as we're watching a tornado warned storm here now just west of Sioux City, Iowa, approaching Windstone and North Sioux City right now. Still radar indicated, so that's a good sign there. Otherwise, we're getting some more severe storms now west of St. Louis, along I-70 between Montgomery City and Herman. Large hail is going to be the primary threat down this way, and already seeing some large hail returns here south of Montgomery City and north of Herman. That's going to be up along the interstate, along I-70 towards Jonesburg, and eventually up towards Hawk Point and Troy. Please be taking precautions there. 60-mile-an-hour winds also possible with this storm. Not seeing a lot of rotation here, so that's a good sign for tornadic development. But with strong winds, you can have some wind-driven hail, and that can cause damage to windows. So if you're up in this area north of this storm here towards High Hill, Jonesboro, Truxton, Hawk Point, and eventually to the areas around Troy, as the storm gets close to you, it's good to stay away from doors and windows. Having another tornado warning back now in Nebraska. This is that storm cluster that came across Columbus, Nebraska, and seeing rotation pick up here as it's approaching Dodge. So Dodge, Nebraska, you can see that rotation. Actually a decently tight rotation. It's not super strong showing in this radar, but it's a decently tight rotation. That's going to be coming right up towards Dodge, Monterey, and Snyder in Nebraska. Just north of the areas here in Maple Creek, and also close to that area that had a tornado warning a few minutes ago in Howells. So Howells, Dodge, over to Snyder, and up towards Monterey. Please be taking your tornado safety precautions. Maybe another area rotation back here. The warning box stretches back pretty far. These storms may be just clipping a bit faster of a pace here. Bit of some cell mergers going on. But you can see it here. The rotation point here just to the north and west of Maple Creek. Not much there, and then all of a sudden we can see a couple of these last scans right here between Dodge and Maple Creek. Not super strong reflectivity wise, but it definitely is a tight area of rotation with, oh, we can probably see that too. Maybe just a couple miles across as the broader mesocyclone. So that is indicating a decently tight area rotation here. It's moving a little bit more east. It's just kind of floating around here for a second. It shifted a little further east. So definitely areas towards Snyder, Dodge, Olean. please be in your tornado safety places here. And areas around Maple Creek, please stay hunkered down. Also looking at some hail as well possible in the storm here near Maple Creek. So this is a dangerous tornado warned storm here between Maple Creek, Howells, Dodge, Snyder, up towards Monterey. I have another tornado warning. And this is for the area here in Sioux City, Iowa. And this is a new thunderstorm and a new area of rotation over Sioux City right now. So we're watching this area of rotation originally up towards Whinstone. That's moving up towards Jefferson along I-29. And then we're tracking this new area of rotation now coming up towards James and Hinton along Route 75 here north and east of Sioux City. Those right now are our current tornado warnings. This one here in Iowa just got upgraded to an observed tornado. So we're now seeing an observed tornado in this area here just to the south and west of Dodge. And it's a weather spotter confirmed tornado. Damaging tornado 4 miles south of Howells, moving northeast at 20. So a confirmed tornado on the ground here between Howells, Dodge, and Maple Creek. We can take a look and see here what the CC is showing. This storm is a little closer to the radar site. So that is, I think, the start of it over here. There's also some hail contamination, but it's co-located decently with that area rotation. So tornado here just sitting south of Dodge, moving towards the Dodge, Nebraska area, and that does seem to be pretty co-located here with this area CC drop right in here. It's a bit messy, but the National Weather Service also says there's a storm spotter on the ground that's confirming this. That area is a pretty, like I said, pretty tight rotation. It's not super strong at the level we're seeing this, but it's there. So it does appear to be a little bit on a downtrend. So hopefully it can lift as it gets closer towards Dodge. A couple other points of rotation in the storm near Maple Creek, but it's this area here that we're watching coming up towards Dodge, headed towards Snyder, Monterey, and Dodge. Please be in your safe spot. It's about 4 miles south of Howells. So Howells, please be in your safe spot as well. And again, seeing some signs of some larger hail in here. So if you're in this storm in a larger area between Maple Creek, Howells, and areas south of Clarkson in Nebraska, please be taking your tornado safety precautions, because beyond a tornado here that is an observed tornado headed towards Dodge, there's definitely some larger hail back in here. And watching another area rotation here west of Maple Creek picking up a little bit. Yeah, there's another area rotation. It's kind of holding its own at the moment. Your main area rotation here is this area just south of Dodge. That does seem to be weakening slightly and broadening slightly, but still confirmed reported tornado by a trained weather spotter approaching the area here in around Dodge. And check this CC again. Yeah, it's starting to show up a little bit more now. So there's definitely some hail contamination and also some clear air contamination. This stuff over here is like clear air contamination. You can see there's actually no precip over here. And then the stuff back by Howells, this is all hail contamination. But now we're seeing a pretty defined CC right in here, and that's co-located just here south of 91, south of Dodge, coming into the Dodge area with a confirmed observed tornado that we're now seeing also able to confirm on the radar. So this is a dangerous storm right approaching Dodge, Nebraska. So Dodge, Nebraska, please be in your tornado safe space here. Just updating the live stream. That way we can get it out to as many people as we can. Alright, so we do have a confirmed tornado coming into Dodge right now. As we speak here, still have that CC drop showing up just right here in the Dodge, Nebraska area. So please be in your tornado safe space. This is a dangerous storm. I'm just making sure just getting this out to as many people as we can here. So again, once again, we have a dangerous storm here. Observed tornado coming into the Dodge, Nebraska area. Also watching a little rotation southwest of that towards Maple Creek. That seems to be holding its own. It's the CC drop we're seeing here just on this south side of Dodge. And this is also confirmed by Storm Spotter. Headed up through Dodge, now east of Howells. If you're in the areas around Snyder and Monterey, please be taking your safety precautions, as well as areas up towards Aloys. This is in south or east Nebraska, right here in Dodge. That is again an observed tornado warning. Checking back up, I know we have the observed tornado warning, but we also have some tornadic storms moving through areas here in Sioux City. So I do want to check on them a little bit. Areas now in Jackson and west of Sioux City on Route 20. That area is now cleared from the tornado warning. Now looks like the rotation is up here near Jefferson. We'll have to see if that gets extended. It still looks like it's remained pretty broad and weak and still just a radar indicated tornado. And then the cell that developed over Sioux City and was warned here, that is now an area north of Sioux City along Route 75. That's coming up towards James in now Iowa. It's going to be approaching the areas around Hinton in a few minutes as well. Good news, this is also radar indicated. But that area right now of rotation is right between Leeds and James along 75. So if you especially live or work north of that point along 75, James and Hinton, as well as up towards the Potosia area, that area is under the gun for this tornadic storm. And nothing confirmed yet, but now moving out of the Sioux City area and into these areas north of Sioux City. Sioux City downtown is also now cleared from the warning. So Sioux City, if you live downtown, you are clear from the warning. But this area here is now approaching James with a tornado warned storm up towards Hinton along 75 in northwest Iowa now. So all these storms on the Nebraska side of Sioux City, you're also clear. So Jackson, South Sioux City, Dakota City, and Sioux City downtown, you're clear of that tornado warned storm. Still showing some broad rotation up here towards Jefferson. We'll have to see what they do with that one, but the area around James is holding pretty tight for a decently strong area rotation up towards Hinton. If that gets extended, that tornado warning could be up towards the Merrill area in Iowa along 75. So if you're along Route 75 north and east of Sioux City, please be taking your tornado safety precautions. So 3 ongoing tornado warnings. Let's go back to our observed tornado. This is an observed tornado near Dodge. And still showing rotation right, unfortunately, over the Dodge area. So we can see if there's a CC drop still showing up. There still is. It looks like our CC scan may be delayed a minute. But this is when we saw it located back a couple scans ago. It would be now just over or just on the east side of Dodge as it continued up that way. So watching here an observed tornado. This was a trained weather spotter, and then we're also seeing the CC drop co-located on the radar. So unfortunately, it looks like there is an observed tornado that's moved across the small town of Dodge, Nebraska. If you're out there, the CC just updated. Alright, let's put this into motion. We can see if we can see the CC here. So here it was at just a couple scans ago. I think it was right over Dodge. Still pretty much a CC drop right over Dodge. So tornado either ongoing or had just lifted as it came into the town of Dodge. And then still seeing this area here, still showing some CC drop on the northeast of Dodge. So I think we still do have an ongoing tornado, even though the rotation looks a little weaker and broad up in here. It does look like Dodge, Nebraska took a hit with a tornado. Unfortunately, I think that's the first town that's taken a hit today. While that's going on, we have a new tornado warning. And for an observed tornado now in Iowa, and it's going to be an area here now north of Sioux City. So this is a different cell. An observed tornado ongoing. And also decently far from a radar source. Confirmed tornado over and near Lamar's, moving northeast at 25. Doesn't look particularly impressive on this view, but it looks like we are seeing it in the CC there, as this is all lifting up north and northeast along Highway 75 and Iowa Highway 60. So this is going to be coming up towards the Seney and Struble areas in Iowa here, in northwest Iowa. If you're in this area here, Lamar's, up towards Seney and Struble, and also Maurice. Please be taking your tornado safety precautions. Let's see what this one looks like on radar. Interesting. Interesting radar presentation. Let's see what this was. Confirmed weather spotters again confirmed a tornado. It's actually in a bit of the rain-free area, now lifting here just north of Lamar's and headed up towards the Struble area. So Struble, Seney, Lamar's, even as far west as Craig. I would be taking your tornado safety precautions here, since this is an observed tornado. Craig may technically be on the edge of this warning, but it's good to take those tornado safety precautions if your town is touching a warning box like this. Up as well towards Maurice and Ireton. If this holds together, it may head up towards the Orange City area, and could eventually, if it holds together, move up towards Sioux Center. So please be taking your tornado safety precautions, especially areas north and northwest of Lamar's. Mammon, Struble, Craig, under the gun here. Still seeing that rotation. It's in a weird part of the storm, but again, this was a weather spotter confirmed tornado, so they're seeing it. And yep, it's going to be near Maurice and Struble around 2:05. That's Central Time. We can check CC again. Kind of a messy CC. I think it's right in here that we're seeing the CC drop, and then the rotation is right close to that area too. And since we're seeing it at a higher level, it probably is true. So the CC right in here is where we're seeing the tornado, right between Lamar's and Senni, coming up towards Struble here in a matter of minutes. And that is an interesting storm. It's on the rain-free right side of the storm here, moving up towards Struble. Not in a place of a storm where you typically see a tornado, but there is a confirmed tornado there, lifting up 75 towards Struble and Maurice within a matter of minutes there, if not right now for Struble. A couple new viewers, thanks for joining us. We're tracking tornado warned storms. Right now, for the most part, they are confined to the areas in northeast Nebraska and northwest Iowa, also following a number of severe thunderstorm warnings down into Iowa and Missouri, and also severe storms that are going to be moving into our tornadic favorable area. These storms here between Grain Valley up towards Kirksville in Missouri are ones to watch here for tornadic development as they move into this area here where Missouri, Iowa, and Illinois kind of meet up. Still possible to have some tornadic development anywhere in this watch area. And then also watching the potential for damaging winds and hail down in southeast Missouri, including into the St. Louis area eventually. Watching a significant hailstorm now in the Hawk Point area just to the northwest of Troy. Seeing some broad rotation, but nothing that's too concerning at the moment. For the most part, this storm has had large hail signature. It should miss the major areas of St. Louis. It's going to head north towards areas even north of Troy, towards Ellsbury in Missouri, and then maybe into the areas around Whitehall if that holds together in Illinois. But more storms are forming back in south or east central Missouri between Jefferson City and the St. Louis area. Another hail core I'm seeing here near Herman and Gasconade, and then possibly some hail cores developing out here near Lynn. And a big hail core here near Willow Springs and Kabul, headed up towards Salem in Missouri. And that's being warned for 1-inch hail as well, pretty far east of Springfield. So watching that, also storms breaking out now in central Arkansas near Clinton, over towards Russellville, and then down towards Mount Ida. I have to watch here for some damaging wind threat later this afternoon. But back up to these tornado warned storms, because several were observed. So we still have an observed tornado located over Dodge, and that's 12 miles southwest of West Point, moving northeast at 20. So a confirmed damaging tornado. This is still in the Dodge area. Now looks like just east of Dodge near Snyder. Rotation does seem to be weakening a little bit, so that's a good sign. And the tornado warning was just dropped, so that's good. It means no longer on the ground. Still some rotation in that storm down towards Maple Creek, south of Dodge. But unfortunately, I do think Dodge, Nebraska took a hit with a significant tornado, at least that showed up on the CC, as well as on radar, and was observed by weather spotters. So we can see here, as that CC now moves east of Dodge, how it clears up with the rotation as well. Still some rotation back in here to watch. Good news is it seems to be broadening up, but we'll watch that area here especially south of Dodge for any other spin-ups. And then they've dropped the tornado warning that was originally in the Sioux City area, and the one that came through Sioux City is looking a little broader as well, but it's this area north of Hinton, right kind of on the end of the warning area between Hinton and Merle, where there's some rotation showing up. That has stayed radar indicated, so that's been a good sign, but still an observed tornado ongoing here, located over Struble or near Lamar's, moving northeast at 30. So still an observed tornado here. I can see its signature showing up pretty good now as we get a little bit closer to the radar site, just in the Struble area, moving up towards Maurice. Maurice is next in line. This is in Iowa here, northwest Iowa. A bit messy of a CC, and not seeing the big CC drop like we did earlier. That doesn't mean it's not on the ground. It could still be on the ground and just not picking up a lot of debris. If it's still on the ground, it would be in this area right near Struble. So Struble up towards Maurice still wants you to be in your safe space here, as well as the areas around Craig and areas between Ireton and Maurice. Areas just north and northwest of Seney also be in your safe space here. Let this storm pass through, and good news is they've dropped for those broader rotations here, now coming up in the areas north of Hinton. That storm seems to be weakening a little bit. More of a shear line than a significant point of rotation. If that does tighten back up, that's going to be headed back into an area that just had some tornado warnings towards Lamar's. So just be cautious of that. If you get a new tornado warning in the Lamar's area, it may be for a different cell. Otherwise, back towards Sioux City, clearing out a little bit. Still some storms south and west of you to watch, but it looks like your more immediate tornado threat is on the downtrend in the Sioux City area. So now down from 3 or 4 tornado warnings to 1, but it is an observed tornado still. And that's coming up here just in the Struble area up towards Maurice. So please be in your tornado safety place here. Headed up along Route 75, US Route 75, between Struble and Maurice. That is a storm that's quickly moving up that way. Could also have some small hail in it and some gusty winds. Yeah, they have increased the speed. I think it was originally at 25, now it's at 30. So a confirmed tornado over Struble, moving northeast at 30. There's a couple points in here, so I do want to take a look at this whole kind of line right here. Oops. Let's just track this area out here and then head up this way at 30 and see if there's any other places in here. If this holds together or wraps back up, it's going to be in the Sioux Center area in about 20 minutes, and Maurice 5 minutes or less. And Maurice is close to center line with this. So if you're in the Maurice area, please be taking your tornado safety precautions as these storms are lifting up here with a confirmed tornado near Struble. Good news is still staying broad rotation down there near the storm in Hinton in Iowa. And then the warnings have been canceled in the West Point area. Watch out for some ongoing flood threats here, though. There are some flood warnings coming out. Still a little broad rotation here near the Dodge area, but the damage is already done for Dodge. We'll have to see what developed in this area, but looked like it had a tornado that tracked pretty much across this way, like that, just a few minutes ago. South of Howells, about 4 miles south of Howells, and you can see already a couple tornado reports coming in. So unfortunately, I think we might get some more from this area, as this was another trained weather spotter via social media. So unfortunately, we'll have to check on that and see how Dodge has fared. Right now, currently our only tornado warning, it's been downgraded to radar indicated, so good news. And I was seeing that too. We didn't have the CC drop like we did earlier. That doesn't mean there's not a tornado on the ground. There could be. We're seeing a fairly high level in the storm. And looking for a CC drop up in this area here. So not seeing a defined CC ball drop indicating a tight debris ball. There are a couple lower values in here that could be concerning, but we're also could be seeing some hail contamination since the radar is coming from this direction here through the hail and the core of the storm. So we're a little high up to confirm that, but I'd stay in your safe space here, especially coming up towards Maurice. And between Maurice and Struble, that could still be a tornado on the ground. The other thing that we could be seeing is if you have the thunderstorm here and the tornado is picking up stuff here, our radar could be shooting up here, and we're just seeing like the very top of whatever the tornado is picking up. If the radar was closer and we shot it through here, then we would see like the full CC drop. So we could just see like the lightest pieces of whatever the tornado is picking up. So that could be like a small leaf or a little bit of dust, and it's not showing that full large CC drop. So especially this far from the radar site, let's treat this as, an observed tornado. Treat it very seriously here as it lifts up towards the Maurice area. And be this area right here, lifting up right towards Maurice. Seeing a bit of a hail core too in this storm. Around the Ireton area, this area is going to have maybe some pretty decent sized hail. That's headed up towards areas north of Ireton. So a strong storm here. Since that has gone back to radar indicated, we can get a bit of a, some tornado possible tags here in Iowa. That's coming up through the Ottumwa area, and I see that our cam went down. So it's not a great look. It's kind of looking right at the road, but there is a camera from Ottumwa, Iowa. We should be seeing a pretty significant storm coming that way. Hail up to close to an inch, and then 60-mile-an-hour winds. So we'll have to see, as that camera should show us a pretty good hail core. Speaking of the hail cores, a lot of hail cores headed towards Kirksville, around Unionville right now, Green City, Milan, down towards Grantsville in Missouri. Those are ones we're going to have to watch for tornadic development. That area in northwest Missouri already had a round of big hail, and then the storm that's north of Troy has had some wind and tree damage. I wouldn't be surprised to see some hail reports coming out of that storm here north of Troy. Now in the Ellsbury area, approaching Hamburg, Whiteside, and Anada on the Missouri side. If that holds together, could be headed towards the areas in Illinois, towards Campsville, Carlton, and Whitehall. It's had a hail core for a while. Watching more storms here in east central Illinois near Herman that have some hail cores. Those will generally track towards the St. Louis area, as well as further development down near Rolla. That'll be tracking towards the St. Louis area. So St. Louis likely have a tornado threat to your north, but wouldn't be surprised to see more hail and damaging wind reports in this area in southeast Missouri. Kansas City finally clearing out now. Your severe weather threat in the Kansas City area is over. And you can see all of the tornado and thunderstorm damage reports from earlier this morning. Those storms are all now moving up into north central Missouri at the moment. Back to Sioux City, we had just got another tornado warning. It's for that second cell that had a tornado warning was dropped, and I'm guessing that the rotation is tightened up a bit. So this is what I mentioned just a few minutes ago. If you're in the Lamar's area, Lamar's had a tornado warning about 15-20 minutes ago. You're now back in a tornado warning. This is a new warning for area rotation here coming up across the area here between Merle and Lamar's. This is again going along Route 75, so US 75, Lamar's, Owens, Remsen, Senny, and Struble now back in a tornado warning for a new area of rotation here down between Lamar's and Merrill. So please, again, take your tornado safety precautions. This is only radar indicated, but still it's had a history of rotation, so we'll see and track that one out. Still rotating, but a lot more broadly here, just around the Maurice area. So we'll see what they do with that warning, as the original area rotation up in this part of Iowa is almost out of the warning area. If that intensifies, it is moving generally up towards Sioux Center. So Sioux Center in about 15 minutes should be getting, at the very least, a strong thunderstorm. And then again, areas here around Lamar's, please be taking your tornado safety precautions. Rotating coming up this way towards Lamar's, Senny, Oyens, Struble, Senny, and Remsen. See if we can get our traffic cam to update there. That traffic cam is in an area here that's severe warned in Ottumwa, Iowa. So the feed may not be going through quite as good as it was earlier. So if you're just joining us, 2 tornado warnings at the moment. They're both in northwest Iowa, north and east of Sioux City. One was observed a few minutes ago, but that has been downgraded. They're both radar indicated, but we will see here. Still showing that rotation up north now of Maurice, headed generally towards Sioux City. Essentially, this is about out of the warning box. We'll see what the Weather Service wants to do with that. It's definitely broader than it was earlier, so that's a good downtrend. And then an area of broad rotation, but still up in here. There's a couple points of interest. I think this is our main point of interest. That's headed up towards Lamar's area right about now. And then that's going to quickly be into Oyens, Remsen, Senny, and Struble in a matter of a couple minutes. You can take this point out, and it was at 30. So less than 5 minutes for places around Senny. Let me just double check the radar products that I have access to and see here if we can get a better look at this. Radar indicated near Lamar's, moving 35, so less than 5 minutes here. Since there's a couple areas of rotation, I'm just going to kind of check that whole area. Yeah, about 5 minutes for both Senny and Oyens. About 15 minutes towards Carnes. Also Remsen, if it drifts that way, would be in about 5 to 7 minutes. And that original tornado warning was confirmed by an emergency manager. So a little more detail. It was originally a weather spotter confirmed, but also does seem to be now it was also an emergency manager. A few more towns. Let's see. Struble in about 10 minutes for this area rotation. Carnes in about 15 minutes. And they're going to re-warn this area here now for Sioux Center. So Sioux Center, you are now in a tornado warning. Sioux Center, Ironton, Maurice, still be in your tornado safety places here. Radar indicated tornado. Near Maurice, moving northeast at 30. So it should be this area here. A bit of a messy, we're so far away from the radar site. Could be this area down in here. It's this area, I think, right in here between Maurice, Ironton, and Sioux Center. So this is coming up towards the Sioux Center area. The storm has had a rotation in a interesting part of the storm on the eastern flank of it, as well as the storm to the south, kind of the same setup. Now rotation over the Lamars. Within a matter of minutes, it's going to be in the Seney and Owens area, also up towards Struble. Areas along Route 60, north of Lamars, please be in your safe space, as well as areas around the Remsen area in Iowa. Maurice, good to stay in your safe space. Struble, stay in your safe space. A bit of overlapping tornado warnings, but you do have the cell here with rotation around Lamars that's headed up your way as well. And we'll see if they extend that. Area rotation here, moving north and east up towards Sioux Center. So Sioux Center, it's a matter of minutes. And then once we get through that, if that holds together, areas up towards Rock Valley and Hall, please be in your tornado safe space as well. So this is all of the tornado warnings here at the moment. Just checking on a few storms in Iowa. This is near Ottumwa, Iowa. That's where our traffic cam is. Not seeing a whole lot on the traffic cam, but that area here is under a severe thunderstorm warning for tornado possible. And then some large hail now coming up around Centerville in Iowa. Now moving north of Unionville, and we do have a hail report here coming in for 1.25 inch hail. That's half dollar size hail. That was in Sullivan County, Missouri. Wouldn't be surprised to see more reports like that. It looks like some big hail cores showing up around Green City in Missouri. And then we can get a better look at these storms from Kansas City. Areas around Brookfield and Marceline have a pretty strong cell. Doesn't look quite as strong as it did a few scans ago. And then west of St. Louis right now, still some hail cores showing up along 70 near Wright City. That's a potential one. And then also some hail cores showing up, some small hail likely near Berger. And then further down, a storm in, oh, that's far from both radars. That storm there, can't really get a good look at it right now, but areas south of Salem, severe thunderstorm warning for 60-mile-an-hour winds, maybe up to close to an inch in diameter hail. Still not severe down in the Little Rock area, but we'll watch that area. So far, our tornado action has all been in the Sioux City area for the last few minutes. Let's see. Also checking some of these storms that had rotation and tornado warnings earlier. Not seeing as much rotation there, so that's a good sign if you're in that area in northeast Nebraska. So back up to these storms. Still some rotation here near Lamar's, and a radar indicated tornado warning still remains there. And then now areas here, radar indicated right around the Sioux Center area. You can see rotation still appears to be broad, but it's definitely picked up again. So there'd be this area right here, just on the south side of Sioux Center, that is the most concerning part of the storm here for rotation. That's going to be moving up across Sioux Center and areas along US 75. Please be in your tornado safety place here. If it holds together, coming up towards the areas just outside the warning box, Hall and Rock Valley, and maybe as far to the north and east as Boyden. So if you're in this area here around Hall, Rock Valley, and Boyden, you have just a couple minutes, but still start thinking about where your tornado action plan is and where that tornado safety space is. Lowest, most interior room in a permanent structure, away from doors, windows, exterior walls, on the lowest level of your structure. If you live in a mobile home or work in a temporary structure like a garage or one of the prefab metal structures, those are not safe for tornadic development and tornadic winds. So have a place that's in a stable structure. This is for that area of rotation now over Sioux Center, generally moving up towards the areas here along US 75. Up next would be Hall and Rock Valley, and maybe as far north and east as Boyden. Right now, still just a radar indicated tornado. We can check CC, but we're probably going to get some hail contamination in here from the core of the storm that's between the rotation points and our area rotation. We're looking up in the storm pretty far. But here it is right here, just on the south side of Sioux Center. Still showing up there. Not seeing a full CC drop, so that's a good sign. But area rotation now just basically over Sioux Center, moving north, northeast. Headed up generally towards the Hall area. So those are our current 2 tornado warned storms. Let's take a look at a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. Now seeing some severe thunderstorm warnings here in West Virginia. So some hailstorms here, large hail, 1 inch and 60-mile-an-hour winds. Now in the areas just north of Charleston in West Virginia. Yeah, there's definitely some hail cores in there. Maybe a couple more hailstorms and higher winds in this area here in West Virginia is possible as the afternoon continues. There's been a boundary there for the last couple days, and even last night as everybody was watching the Midwest, there's a couple big storms here north of Louisville near LaGrange, and then south of Cincinnati along 75 here between Lexington and Cincinnati. And they just drifted around with some large hail and heavy rain for quite a while. Very isolated, but it does seem to be a little more scattered today here this afternoon in Charleston area and in southern West Virginia, as well as maybe up into the Appalachians here in the Carolinas. So we'll keep an eye on those. Shouldn't be as big of a severe weather threat as the current one that's ongoing here in the Midwest. Back to our tornado warned storms in Sioux Center area. Still seeing that area rotation now just north of Sioux Center, maybe another one here east of Sioux Center. Those are both lifting north-northeast. We'll see what they do for the warning. This cell here now through Lamar's is looking a lot less severe here, but still some rotation moving up along 60. That holds together to be towards the Orange City and Alton area. I'm more concerned with the rotation here that's just on the north side now of Sioux Center. Still kind of far from the radar site, so it's really hard to get the ground truth, and we haven't yet, so that's a good sign. But if that continues, that's going to be up towards the Hall and Boyden areas. So if you're between Sioux Center, Hall, and Boyden, would be taking your tornado safety plan here into action. And you can see the winds. It's a bit broad, but it's still there. As that area lifts up towards the Hall area in Iowa. Not seeing a ton there anymore. Lamar's and Merrill have another storm coming up, but don't see a lot of rotation in that. So you guys may be done for the severe weather threat. I think this is our best area rotation still, coming up towards Hall. Just checking the traffic cam to see if we have any good activity down here in Ottumwa. I'm in a temporary setup from my normal studio setup, so I gotta look down for a second monitor. So apologize for that a little bit, but we're making it work here. Still not seeing much on that traffic cam. So area rotation here, moving up towards Hall, just in a matter of minutes. We'll see if they extend this warning or not. It's a bit broad and messy right now. Maybe a secondary rotation here now east of Sioux Center is one to watch. There's just a couple, I guess right now, points of rotation along this cell here moving up towards Hall. The best one is still here on the north side now of Sioux Center, and then just north and west of Sioux Center towards Carmel, headed up towards Perkins. Maybe some small hail up in here. I can see pretty decent hail core. Moving up also towards the Rock Valley area, Perkins and Hall. Hall is more on the tornadic side as this moves up this way. And do have a new tornado warning. So east of where we've been looking here, there's a new observed tornado. This is an observed tornado near Rockwell City, moving north at 35. It is also confirmed by weather spotters. And we can see the rotation in here, right in this area here by Rockwell City. That's going to be moving north towards Manson, towards Pomeroy, Jolly, Palmer, and as far as north right now, if that holds together, towards Pocahontas and Gilmore City. So if you're in the Rockwell City, Iowa area here, up towards Manson, Rockwell City, Pomeroy, and just outside of the warning, but still start taking your safety precautions in Pocahontas and Gilmore City. This is an observed tornado, and it was moving north at 35. So north at 35, please be taking your tornado safety precautions here. Let me clear that for a second. North at 35 is going to put it into Richard in less than 5 minutes, Twin Lakes in about 10 minutes, and Palmer in about 25 minutes. So please be taking your tornado safety precautions here in Rockwell City. And unfortunately have a new confirmed tornado here now just north of Sioux Center, moving northeast at 25. Damaging tornado, and confirmed was reported 2 miles east of Sioux Center. So this was that secondary area of rotation. There's still a couple points of rotation on here, maybe as far as 3 points of rotation along this line that I was worried about. One is coming up towards Perkins and Hall, another towards Hall, and then this one near Middleburg, headed up towards the areas around between Hall and Boyden, is our confirmed tornado. So again, yeah, it definitely has wrapped up more than it was earlier. Just checking that storm behind it to see. So right now, 2 observed tornadoes here in northwest Iowa. The one near Rockwell City, and then one near Sioux Center. So right up in here between Rockwell City and Richard, lifting to the north, it's going to head up towards Twin Lakes Court, Manson, and Pomeroy and Palmer, as well as Pocahontas and Gilmore City. Also seeing some rotation in the cell that's now north and west of Palmer, or Pomeroy, near Fonda. We're looking a bit far in the radar, so that could just be upper level rotation, but that's looking a bit punchier than it did a few minutes ago. Let's go back. Yeah, see, that one has also increased in rotation. I think we're going to need another warning here probably in a couple minutes. If we do, I would guess it's going to include Fonda, Pocahontas, Lawrence, somewhere like that. Looks like we have another area rotation, and then the original one with an observed tornado is near Rockwell City, headed up towards Manson, Pomeroy, Gilmer, Pocahontas. I'm going to want you in your safe spot here. These are a little too close. So I think we got 2 areas of pretty significant rotation. There's the one here in Rockwell City, and then this rotation in the storm is picking up here in the storm between Pomeroy and Fonda. We can check CCs. They're still messy because these storms are somewhat co-located with rotation and hail. But I think this one is showing a CC drop right in here near Rockwell City. And right here between Rockwell City and Richard, that's where the confirmed tornado is located. Right in there. It's going to cross US 20 here in just a minute. So if you're in this area, Rockwell City, Richard, up towards Manson, Pomeroy, Twin Lakes Court, please be in your tornado safe space here. We have an observed tornado that's moving up now just near the Richard area. And yeah, we're going to see that CC drop continue, so pretty certain that's it right in that area here. Just north of Richard. This is generally headed up right towards the Manson area, Blandon, Pomeroy, Palmer, Westview, Gilmore City, Pocahontas. Please be in your tornado safe spaces. And then this is looking interesting over here near the Rusk area. This is north and east of Fonda, between Fonda and Rusk. There's been an area rotation that I've been looking at and seeing some CC co-located with this. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a tornado warning that's going to come out for this storm either. This storm, if it does continue, would be also headed up towards the areas between Pocahontas and Laurens. So Pocahontas, I think either way, it's good to take your tornado safety precautions. We have the observed tornado down by Richard and Rockwell City. That's moving in your general direction here towards Pomeroy, Manson, Pocahontas, and Gilmore City. And then I do have this other area rotation that's showing up here between Pocahontas and Fonda. That's also generally lifting north towards the Laurens, maybe also the Pocahontas area. Rolf, be aware of these storms to your south, especially that one that's down by Rockwell City. We're going to get a severe thunderstorm warning for this storm that's coming up now by Laurens. And it's going to be warned for 1-inch hail, so that may be the hail core. It also has some higher level rotation. Just maybe not as strong as... it's definitely one to watch here as this one lifts up. Let's see if the hail core moves at all, or the... I don't know. You can see it here and here as the rotation picks up. That one's a tricky one. That may be just co-located rotation and hail, which there's a hail core on that. But that could also be a little quick spin up there. So if you're in this Laurens and Pocahontas area, I'd still be taking your tornado safety precautions. Alright, back to another observed tornado. This is now north of Sioux Center. It's coming up towards Hall and Boydens. Called out Hall a while back to watch this storm, so now hopefully you guys are in your tornado safety precautions. And continuing up towards Matlock, and if this holds together, up towards George in northwest Iowa. Still seeing a couple points of rotation. This is the one here that the warning is for. And we can check CC as well. It's not as definitive as the other storm was. So you can see back here towards Middleburg, it had a CC drop as this was reported as an observed tornado. It's come across the areas around Middleburg and is now up in this area right here. We're pretty far from the radar site, so it's tough to tell if this is still on the ground. But if it is, it's right here between Hall and Boyden, headed up towards Matlock for an observed tornado. So please be taking this area seriously. This is north of Sioux Center now. Hall, Boyden, just west of Sheldon, and up towards Matlock. And then next in line would be George, Iowa. Please be taking your tornado safety precautions. The tornado warning here has been downgraded to a tornado radar indicated, so looks like they're saying it lifted. If it is right now, it's in the Twin Lakes area, approaching Manson. It does look less significant on radar than it did a few minutes ago. So we can see just a couple scans ago, it did have a bit of a CC drop there, and this was also reported by a trained spotter. So we're not seeing a giant CC drop, but the spotters are seeing these storms today in Iowa, so we need to take those seriously here. And then I'm still not liking this rotation here. Now just north and east of Fonda. It's broadened a little bit though in the last couple scans. We may have had something there near Fonda, as there was a quick little CC drop for a couple scans right when this rotation was looking stronger. It's a bit broader now, but still one to watch. This definitely has some hail coming up towards Fonda and Lawrence. And then the tornado warning now continues for Manson, Pomeroy, Gilmore City, up towards the Pocahontas area. Getting a couple new still observed tornado near Boyden, and then now getting a radar indicated tornado for this area between Hall and Dune. That's also moving northeast at 30. You can see this whole storm line has had areas where there's some rotation points, and as they have been pretty quick to spin up, if you're north and east of this line, we did this a while ago when Sioux Center was originally out of the warning, and this line of rotation was down near Lamar's. I'm kind of going to do it the same. This whole area line here has points of rotation. So if you're north of this line, even another one maybe right in there, definitely one to watch, and start getting your tornado plans ready here. George, Rock Rapids, and Little Rock in Iowa. This should slide west of Sheldon, but Sheldon, Iowa needs to be watching this carefully. There's been these fleeting and sometimes observed tornadoes, as these have been pretty quick spin-ups here along this edge of the thunderstorm. So a couple points of rotation and a couple observed tornadoes. Not sure any are still observed. If the Boyden one still is, it's messy again, but it's, I think, right in this area here, just to the west or right over Boyden. That's moving northeast towards the Matlock area. Right in there, and still seeing it's messy, but there's still some CC drop in there. So let's treat it as an observed tornado up towards the Matlock area. And then this new area rotation here near Dune. Right here, not seeing a big CC drop or anything where that is. That's showing radar indicated, so that's a good sign. But that is headed up towards the areas here near Edna, Rock Rapids, not in the warning yet, but if this gets extended, Rock Rapids, Edna, George, and Little Rock, Iowa need to all be paying attention to this area of convection here, with tornadoes possible along this leading edge of the storm. Yeah, there's been little spin-ups along the edge of this line, and they've been pretty fleeting, so they're in there for a couple scans, and then another one strengthens. So we need to treat this whole area just north and east of Rock Valley and Sioux Center. Just treat this whole area for a tornado warning like they're doing. And that's going to continue moving north and east towards Rock Rapids, George, and Little Rock. Areas around Boyden, Matlock under the tornado warning right now, as well as areas around Dune up to Lakewood Corner, and then just south side of Edna. Edna, I would be taking a tornado safety precaution if I was in Edna, since this tornado warning cuts right across town, basically. We have 21 alerts, 9 severe thunderstorm warnings, 4 tornado warnings. Two there, and then now Pocahontas down towards Pomeroy and Manson, approaching Palmer, Pocahontas, and Gilmore City has a tornado warning. And then now further north and east, this is a new tornado warning here, radar indicated, for a storm capable of producing a tornado over Cheney or near Vinton. This one's moving a lot faster than those western Iowa storms. This is moving north at 55. So you're not going to have a lot of warning here for this area of rotation. Between Brandon and Urbana, right now on 380. Yeah, I guess it was warned back here in Vinton. It's moving up towards Independence and Winthrop and Hazleton in northeast Iowa. Watching a couple other points here of rotation to see if they spin up. But right now it's on this edge here. This is going to be approaching Raleigh, Cascaton, Winthrop, and Independence. So if you live in this area here, north and east of Brandon, and also north of Urbana now, this is a radar indicated tornado quickly moving up towards Raleigh, Cascaton, Winthrop, and Independence, Iowa. And it was moving northeast at 55. So a lot faster than those storms back towards the Sioux City area. Raleigh less than 5 minutes. Winthrop about 10 to 15 minutes. Doris about 10 to 15 minutes. About the same then for Independence, about 10 minutes. So definitely need to be in your safe space here. In addition to tornadoes, this area here near Cedar Rapids has tornado possible and up to 70-mile-an-hour winds. So if you're not in a tornado warning here near Cedar Rapids and points north and east, be prepared for the high winds. And then watching areas here near Ottumwa, where our traffic cam is. Let me see if we can our traffic cam may need a reset. Alright, reset the traffic cam. It does look like it's darker there now, so we do have another area of significant weather here approaching Ottumwa with another severe thunderstorm warning. So especially this area here between south of Ottumwa and towards Bloomfield, is bowing out a little bit, so that's one to watch for 60-mile-an-hour winds, and maybe some small hail in here near the Drakesville, Bloomfield area. We're going to have to watch these storms here as they're getting into a prime area of the tornado watch. New severe thunderstorm warnings for this area here west and north of St. Louis. Approaching Wentzville now with some hail cores near Wright City. And just between Wentzville and Moscow Mills here with hail. Not seeing a lot of rotation yet. Have to watch that storm. It looks like it has some good inflow. So just watching that storm there. But otherwise not much rotation down this way. And then a big wind and hail threat now extended out just along the Illinois River, headed up towards Carlton, Greenfield, Whitehall. I think we called them earlier for that threat. So hopefully people that have been up in the Whitehall area, Carlton area, have had time to get their cars in the garage and figure out their safety plan. This is a pretty strong line of storms, bowing out a little bit near Hardin and headed up towards Carlton, Greenfield, Whitehall, and Rood House in Illinois. Being warned for 60-mile-an-hour winds. Other storms here in St. Louis to watch, back near Sullivan. They're generally riding up along 44. No warnings yet, but some stronger storms certainly are possible. Maybe some small hail here between Sullivan and Bourbon along 44. And then also some strong storms now showing up near Viburnum. Earlier had a severe thunderstorm warning down there near Salem and Viburnum. Same deal with Little Rock. Little Rock has storms that have been strong but holding sub-severe. Some hail likely in this storm here south of Perryville, Arkansas. And that is generally headed towards the areas north of Little Rock, towards Maumelle and Mayflower. That'll be one to watch for some small hail and gusty winds. Right now our tornado warnings are all centered in the northern half of Iowa. And they're extending the tornado warning here in the northwest corner. And they are going to do, it looks like what I was thinking earlier, where they're going to warn this whole segment. So this is capable of producing a tornado near George. And they are specifically warning, like I said, there are multiple circulations in this warning. One northeast of Dune and one northwest of Boyden. So they are going to replace the individual warnings with a larger warning that covers this whole area. And just this whole area has leading spin-ups on it. It's had 2 or 3 pretty consistently. It's all moving up towards George, Little Rock, Sibley in Iowa. This is like the extreme northwest corner of Iowa. So the warning where it cuts off is the Iowa-Minnesota border. So are we going to be talking about tornado warnings in Minnesota in a few minutes? I would be watching these storms if I was in Bigelow, Ransom, Ellsworth, Minnesota. This is south of I-90 right now. Let's take a look here. Let's check out the leading areas of rotation here. So it's messy. There's one still, I think, in here near Rock Rapids. One approaching George. And then maybe still some circulation here down by Matlock and Boyden. Let's take a look here and roll this back just a minute. So you can see here just a couple minutes ago, there's the circulation near Dune, the circulation near Boyden, maybe 2 circulations near Boyden there. It doesn't look quite as impressive as it did a couple scans ago. Like this one here near Boyden, and then the ones near Dune. But there still are some circulations in here near George, right in there. And then it's hard to see. I think there's one here near Matlock, rising this way. So Edna, George, Rock Rapids, maybe another one now popping up just south of you. And then headed up towards Little Rock in Iowa. Matlock and Boyden still in the tornado warning, especially Matlock. Please be in your safe space. And then if this holds together, areas near Sibley, Ashton, Bigelow, Ellsworth, Ransom, along the Minnesota border need to be taking a good look at this storm here and watching it as it comes across the areas here in northwest Iowa. Does seem to be on a downtrend a little bit, but still a dangerous storm here. 1-inch hail and still a rotation signature pulling up here now north of Pomeroy near Palmer. This is in general headed up towards Gilmore City and Pocahontas. Originally this was a confirmed tornado by weather spotters. It's now radar indicated. And then there was another rotation point that's now moved up and now towards the Lawrence area. It looks a lot weaker and broader, but still maybe some hail up in that part of the storm. So good news, a little bit of downtrending here. Have to keep watching this storm though. Between Palmer and Manson is your rotation. Lifting up towards the Palmer area and points north. And then still another radar indicated tornado warning for areas north of Cedar Rapids. This is quickly approaching the Winthrop and Independence area. You can see that rotation here now lifting up towards Winthrop and Independence. If the warning continues out this far, it'll be towards Hazleton and Lamont. So please take your tornado precautions. Independence, Winthrop up to Hazleton and Lamont. Dangerous storm there. High winds in this segment are possible. Taking a double check here, their traffic cams. That one's showing some pretty good rotation here, south of Winthrop and Independence, headed up towards Hazleton and Lamont. Yeah, strong winds are showing up in this area of the line here. Down severe thunderstorm warnings through Cedar Rapids, Cedar Point, all along 380 in Iowa, and then down towards Salon, and now lifting north of Iowa City with a large area of strong winds. This storm here near Iowa City is one I was just looking at. Has a tornado possible tag. Has some broad rotation, but it's actually gotten, I think, broader. Down here it had a little better rotation south of Iowa City. And that's broadened out, at least for now. Still some areas to watch here though, north and east of Iowa City. And that would be approaching Tipton, Loudon, Anamosa, and Monticello here in Iowa. Just got in a 60-mile-an-hour wind report by a trained spotter in Cedar Rapids. Torrential rain and pea-sized hail for the storms now moving through Cedar Rapids. So again, beyond the tornado warning here for the areas around Independence and Winthrop and Cascaton, this airline here has a lot of wind and hail potential in it. Back near Ottumwa, Iowa, where our traffic cam is, I think is just missing the biggest part of this storm. But areas in Ottumwa here down towards Bloomfield, gusty winds and some small hail as well as up to 60-mile-an-hour winds. This is also getting a tornado possible tag. I'm seeing a bit of rotation along this leading edge that we're going to have to watch. This is also far from a radar site, so it's harder to see some of these storms. Strong winds here now coming towards Memphis and Bering and Edina in Missouri, now from a line here near Kirksville up towards Queen City and Lancaster, Missouri. Tornado possible tags on those. Seeing some rotation here around the storm here in Kirksville. We're looking way up in the radar site though. And maybe some more rotation here near Lancaster. This area, I think I've mentioned before, is a bit of a radar hole here between Kirksville, Quincy, Hannibal, up towards Burlington, Iowa, Galesburg, and Ottumwa, Iowa. It'd be really great. Please talk to your politicians about getting a radar site somewhere in this area here between Kirksville, Quincy, Memphis, and Keokuk, Iowa. It'd be great to have a radar site like right in this area. It's an area that gets a fair amount of severe weather and unfortunately just does not have very good radar coverage. The tornado warning here has been re-upgraded to observed. It's on the ground near Manson right now, so moving north at 25 and lifting up here now between Manson and Palmer. Once again, we're a bit far from the radar site, but it's starting to look like there's a bit of a hook on this. So that confirms pretty much what we're thinking here. This is going to be headed up near Palmer, Gilmore City, and Pocahontas. If it holds together longer, towards Rolfe and maybe towards Bradgate. If it holds on that far north and east. Some hail showing up towards Laurens. That area of rotation looks like it's downtrended. And then a whole mess of radar indicated rotations now here near George, one near Edna, and one near Rock Rapids. This is all lifting up as a whole line of multiple circulations. It's approaching the areas near Little Rock, Sibley, Bigelow, and then if that continues to hold together, we're going to have a tornado warning likely for southwest Minnesota. These towns here, Ellsworth and Ransom, are in Minnesota. So yeah, we're in the area here just to the southeast of Sioux Falls. Getting a little closer to the radar site too, so we can start to see these circulations a little better here. But I think there's still 3 circulations ongoing here. The one near George is going to be headed up towards Little Rock, Rock Rapids, and then Edna. They're also going to just, while we're in this area here, that area west of Rock Rapids, between Rock Rapids and Larchwood, is near Leicester, has a pretty good hail potential. That is being warned for 60-mile-an-hour winds and 1-inch hail. So we have a large area for wind and hail headed up towards Laverne and Hills in Minnesota. And then an area of a line of rotation headed generally up towards the Little Rock, Iowa area. If that holds together, it'll be crossing into Minnesota, headed generally towards Adrian and Rushmore. So we need to be concerned about this storm and taking tornado precautions. Still an observed tornado. They're going to reissue the warning box here and extend it out. I mentioned that just a few minutes ago. Pocahontas, Rolfe, and now up to West Bend and Millard all need to be taking your tornado safety precautions. This storm looks like it has a tornado on a rain-free base, So we're getting a nice observation here. This is decently far from the radar site, but it's presenting actually pretty good on the reflectivity. Not as good since we're seeing upper level in the storm for the velocity, and probably not great for CC. Not great for CC. There might be something right in there that's fairly co-located with this hook. That may be it right in here. But again, we're seeing pretty far up in the radar. Weather spotters confirmed a tornado with intermittent tornado touchdowns. So this is probably, I guess we can see it here, started near Rockwell City, then lifted a little bit, then it was down near Manson. It lifted likely between Manson and Palmer, and now it's back. And this is one of the better radar presentations that I've seen actually today. So we have a nice organized supercell here with a tornado observed just near the Palmer area, headed up towards Gilmore City. Pocahontas, want you to be in that warning or in your safe space as well. So some serious storms here in Iowa right now. Let's go check the storms around Independence. They're going to continue this storm here for the area of rotation that's around Winthrop, headed towards Lamont. Mentioned you guys earlier too about taking a good look at this storm, especially how fast it's going. This one I think was at 55 miles an hour. So Lamont, Aurora, and Dundee in northeast Iowa need to be taking their tornado safety precautions. Now have 5 tornado warnings. The one that's observed right now here near Palmer, I think they're going to clean it up a little bit. And then the areas here that just got warned near Lamont, Winthrop up to Lamont, and close to Edgewood. And then also tornado warning in the northwest corner near Rock Rapids, George, and Little Rock. I'm going to take a quick break, but I'll keep the keep everything going here. Okay, we're back and set for more here. Tracking these severe storms near Little Rock in Iowa. Double checking the audio looks good. Okay. So still tornado warning ongoing for this area here near Little Rock, up between Little Rock and Rock Rapids in northwest Iowa. Looks like rotation's coming down a little bit, but there's still some points here just to the west, southwest of Little Rock. Also another rotation point now lifting up north of Rock Rapids. We'll see if they continue the warning. If they do, it would be for areas in Minnesota around Ellsworth, Canarzaní, I think, Magnolia, maybe as far as Luverne, which is under a severe thunderstorm warning for large hail. So we will see. This actually does look tighter now. Wouldn't be surprised if we get a tornado warning up towards Luverne. This is in Minnesota now. And then still some rotation showing up here near Little Rock. If that holds together or strengthens, that would be headed up towards Rushmore and Adrian. But this is on the leading edge here, north of Midland, between Midland and Ash Creek. That rotation is looking a little tighter at the moment. It's just on the edge of the warning, north of Rock Rapids. We have 4 tornado warnings. One is observed still near Pocahontas. So going back to this cell, an observed tornado near Pocahontas. It's right now lifting between Palmer, Pocahontas, Gilmore City. It's had intermittent touchdowns. And we're seeing it a bit far from the radar site, but that's generally headed up towards Rolfe, Bradgate, Ottosen. Also in the warning is Havelock and Pocahontas. So please be in your safe space. This goes up towards the areas around West Bend and Millard. Also have ongoing tornado warnings in northeast Iowa. One for the areas around Lamont and Aurora down to Winthrop. And then another warning here between Olewine and Strawberry Point, close to the areas south of West Union. They are warning it for capable of producing a storm over Aurora or 9 miles southeast of Olewine, moving northeast at 55. So right in this area here. Headed up generally towards the West Union area. A new tornado warning now just to that southern end. It's that area rotation that I mentioned earlier near Iowa City was pretty broad. It looks like it's gotten a lot tighter. It's now just to the north of Mount Vernon and moving very quickly. Radar indicated area of rotation moving north at 70 miles an hour. So this is highway speed. These storms are moving at highway speed. If you're out ahead of this line, please take your safety precautions now because you're not going to have a lot of time. Generally, these storms are headed up towards the Dubuque, Iowa area. This area rotation is definitely tighter than it was. Right here north of Mount Vernon, between Mount Vernon, Springville, Anamosa are quickly next in line. And then areas up along US Route 151 towards Monticello, Cascade. If it holds together, areas then just south of Dyersville and maybe in Dyersville would be affected. The other storm here near Lamont and Aurora with the circulation here still remaining radar indicated at the moment. We can check this area for CC near Martell. a little bit of CC drop there, but that may be on the back edge of the storm. I think that's clear air. That is likely clear air there. And then also there is a drop